Wet, windy conditions are stirring up a lot of trouble for San Diegans with allergies these days, and the nurse practitioners at CVS Minute Clinic say some of those symptoms can be tough to deal with. Here's this week's What's Going Around.
In South San Diego, Kasia Lalacata in Chula Vista has seen a number of patients suffering through allergic conjunctivitis. This is a kind of pink eye caused by allergies, resulting in the inflammation of the lining in the eye. The trend continues in North San Diego, where Amy Nielsen in La Jolla says her clinic has noticed a sharp uptick in these infections. Symptoms include red, itchy eyes, watery discharge, and a sensitivity to sunlight. Treatment includes antihistamine eye drops and oral antihistamines. More allergy issues in East San Diego, this time affecting the sinuses. Kate Fitzgerald in El Cajon has diagnosed some of her patients with allergic rhinitis. The symptoms include a runny, itchy nose, congestion, sinus pressure, and watery eyes. Treatment includes over-the-counter nasal sprays, allergy eye drops, and sinus rinses, along with antihistamines. And in central San Diego, Gretchen Broman in Mission Valley has been seeing young patients with impetigo. This is a contagious bacterial infection common in children. Symptoms include a skin rash around the mouth and nose. That rash may spread to other parts of the body. Treatment includes topical antibiotics and sometimes oral antibiotics. And that does it for this week's What's Going Around.